On the other hand, we love to look at you and see you smile or frown or whatever you do. We're happy to have you here. Um, Two things. One, if you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll probably deal with them at the end unless Alicia wants to stop occasionally and ask for questions. Aside from that, I have bad news. Inflation has hit OLLI. We're going to have to raise our fees to $45 for the entire year. It's been, I don't know, 10, 15 years since we've changed from the original 35. You can always apply for a scholarship related to fees or classes. So if that's an issue, um, or we do give sometimes gift scholarships. So you can knock on my door or somebody else's and say, hey, how about it? Because I'd really like to join. The other thing is we have a speaker today. Oh, I wanted to add one more thing. This is our final presentation for the spring session. Our summer session starts, we will have more, 2, 4, 6. We will have 7 talks this summer. And the first one is on July 6th about how supply chains affect the national and international economy and inflation with Kathy Lee, who's a former political science professor at Cal Poly. She is now retired. She's delightful. All right. Elicia Goldsworthy is a registered professional forester, currently serving as the policy and communications manager for Green Diamond Resource Company in California. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Natural Resource Management and a Master of Science in Forestry Science from Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and brings more than 20 years of experience working across California with large and small private landowners. Her background spans reforestation and vegetation management, botany, and plant pathology, including protocol level resource surveys and sustainable forest management certification, including Forest Stewardship Council and Sustainable Forestry Initiative programs. Previously, she served as Green Diamond's silviculture investments manager, providing leadership for programs such as reforestation, vegetation management, and nursery production. And she has worked in technical forestry roles such as forest ecology consulting and applied research. She was appointed by Governor Newsom to the California Board of Forestry and Fire Protection, where she serves as the chair of the Forest Practice Committee and member of the Zone Zero Regulatory Advisory Committee. She's a resident of Arcata, where she lives with her husband, her 2 children, and their very sassy dog. He's the most beautiful color. Anyway, she has quite a great background for it, so don't be afraid to ask questions, technical or otherwise, about what's going on. Alicia, it's all yours. Have
Okay.
fun.
All right, great. Thank you, Jane. Thank you all for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I live, 3 doors up from Jane, and we see each other in the neighborhood all the time, we walk our dogs together, and we have very thoughtful conversations about what's going on in forestry in California. And so Jane had asked if I would please give an update to Ollie on what's going on with Green Diamond. So I'm gonna move my screen over here. I apologize if I go sideways, but so I can start sharing. And then slideshow. Is that looking okay?
Oh, it's perfect.
Okay, because I can't see you guys anymore. So I'm gonna fly blind a little bit here. Let's see if I can put this over. No, that's not gonna. Oh yeah, I can. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so are you seeing the presentation?
I sure am. Looks
Okay, great.
great.
Okay. So we will dive into kind of who Green Diamond is. I think for those of you who lived in the community for a long time, there's been some changes in who the company is and how the company is structured. I do apologize. I spent most of last week in Calabasas for the Zone Zero hearings, working on defensible space regulation, kind of in the context of wildfire and home insurance. And I spent a fair portion of the weekend a little bit comatose after that. It was a really good meeting, but just a really long meeting and a really long trip. So I'm kind of working off of the bigger corporate slide deck, but I would encourage you to stop me at any time. I will do my best to make this more about California and less about all of Green Diamond, even though this slideshow is really kind of like a high level. So I'll happy to pause, happy to answer any questions. And just as a heads up, I can't see anyone. I can only see the presentation. So just holler at me or just interrupt me. It's totally fine. Okay, so let's get into it. Maybe this isn't going to work. Well, here. There we go. Okay. So we as a company have become, I think we're third or fourth of the largest private forest landowners and managers in the United States. So we have about 2.2 million acres under management in 9 states. So we've got kind of our West Coast forestry operations that includes Montana, not West Coast, but those are lands that we own and manage. And then we've engaged in some co-investment work in the US South, where we are retained as the manager of the lands and have a stake in the performance of those lands. So we're sort of an owner slash manager. The company was founded in 1890 by Sol Simpson, who really his model was to find forest land or previously owned forest land that had been cut over and regenerate it and get it back into sort of the next generation of timber harvesting availability, with really the intention to do that for multiple generations. So it was, cut over land, restored, put back into forests, and then really with the intent to be managed for timber production initially. But what we'll get to today is kind of how the business has evolved and really how people are valuing forests, contemporary forests, and how we're trying to kind of balance all of that in the context of wildfire and demand for wood products. We have about 380 employees across all 9 states. So we're not a huge company, but we still are trying to focus on good paying jobs in rural communities. And we'll get into some of the different parts of the business here in a minute. So who are we? We've grown a lot, and the direction that comes from the very top of the company to try to give employees the context of sort of like who we are and how we make our decisions. And really, the president of the company is a member of the family. Douglas Reed is part of the Reed Simpson family that originally founded Green Diamond back in 1890. And he asks us to make decisions that we think and act in the long term. And really what he means by that is, what are his grandchildren going to inherit for this business, and to be stewarding for multiple generations to come, and investing where we can add value. So we'll get into a little bit of some of the other parts of the business that we've been wandering into as we see sort of other markets building out in the forestry space. And then, being great in the woods. And what Doug means by that is just that we're thinking about safety, we're thinking about efficiency, we're making good decisions that also inform our other 2 guiding principles of thinking and acting in the long term and investing where we can add value. So then our core values, if we tell our employees, if you're ever in a pickle or you're ever kind of find yourself in a situation where you don't really know which way to go, come back to the core values. So we think about safety first and foremost in everything we do. We have logging operations throughout our ownership. Logging remains, competitive with fishing and other industries that are incredibly dangerous. And so we're always thinking about safety. Some of the things that we're doing right now is moving towards more mechanized equipment and trying to find places where we can get people out of the bite, out of safety, or out of harm's way, into the cab of a piece of equipment. Or maybe there's work that drones can do. And so we've really been investigating ways that we can sort of reduce the number of bodies on the ground that are potentially in the bite. Integrity is first and foremost. We always want to be doing what we say we're doing. And if we're not doing that, then we really want to hear from it, which is why I'm here with you, which is why when Jane asked if I would come talk with you guys, I said, of course. Stewardship is a core value for us. We are FSC and SFI certified. I'd like to talk a little bit more about those third-party certifications today and how those play into our operations. We're deeply invested in our community to the degree that we can. We have about $100,000 to $150,000 a year in each of our divisions that we are trying to administer in community donations, grants, scholarships. We try to really focus on like places where we can help with hospitals and health initiatives. So you'll see like our logo on the back of the blood bank van. We're trying to do as much as we can. Forestry is not to the fifth core value, profitability. Forestry, particularly in California, is not, the most profitable business. The fixed costs are very high. The cost of regulation is unmatched in any other state in the United States. And the environmental protections that come with that regulation are significant and meaningful. So that's kind of how we sort of couch how we do things in our core values and our sustainability principles. So again, just a few statistics about our stewardship approach. 100% of our lands are certified by the Forest Stewardship Council or the Sustainable Forestry Initiative. That allows us to be parts of trade associations like the National Alliance for Forest Landowners, NAFO, and they're active across the United States, and we're one of the larger members along with the Sierra Pacific Industries and Humboldt Redwood Company, a couple other companies in there. We have about 1.5 million acres that are managed under federal and state fish and wildlife conservation agreements. So these are long-term agreements. They're permits that we've made real commitments to. They're to the 30 or 50-year lifespan. And then we have about 61 species, and this is across the 9 states where we operate, directly covered by conservation agreements through us or our investment partner, Twin Creeks Timber. And then we have 6 conservation agreements in place across 4 states. And again, I think 50 years ago, we thought of forests as sort of a place where trees grow and are harvested for fiber to become, logs that then become lumber that hopefully builds homes and doing other things like that. So I think really the contemporary interpretation of the values that are in forests is so much beyond just sustainable wood fiber for society. Sorry, I'm so tired. We're also looking at biodiversity outcomes. And part of that is as a result of these long-term conservation agreements that we've made and committed to, and we have ongoing monitoring, and we're seeing some pretty phenomenal results. Happy to answer any questions or talk about that some more. Of course, we're maintaining water's quality and quantity. We'll get into some of the statistics around that, but really we know that forests and watersheds are really where a lot of water for the state of California comes from and a lot of water in other states. They're incredibly valuable to sequester and store carbon. We're supporting rural economies through competitive wage jobs. We have a union logging crew. We're one of the last companies in the West that still has a union crew. We offer access for recreational use. We have a great relationship with the Redwood Coast Mountain Bike Association. And it's a very above board insured open access for mountain bike use. People can get permits to forage, to hike, to do, all of that is permitted because we want to know where you are and what you're up to. But we are, the property is available for recreational use through permits. And then we're looking for biomass sites for renewable energy facilities. That is an ongoing goal, to be able to find places to put low value wood waste for utilization, whether it's an energy or biochar or other places where we can try to make as much use of low value wood waste as possible. Come on. I think I might have to take questions at the end, Jane, just because I'm flying, but I can't see. So I'll just keep talking until someone interrupts me.
That's fine. I have one question. Does
Okay.
Green Diamond help support Cal Poly forestry students in terms of scholarships or something similar?
We really do. Yeah. So I would say for the forestry department, we are the ready access for field trips.
We lost your audio. You froze. Uh-oh. Are you still there? Alicia, it's not, you're frozen. I don't know why. If you need to, sign out and sign back in, okay? Hmm. Uh-oh. Hopefully she'll find her way back with audio and video. Hopefully the people roofing the house next door haven't messed up the electricity. That would be more than unfortunate. She may have some okay, I think she may have some networking issues, but hopefully she's back soon. Yes, very hopefully. I had no idea that Green Diamond was such a large company and so involved not just here, but I mean, generally we don't hear much of anything about Green Diamond except when they donate something or participate in something. And that's why I thought it'd be really interesting to see what on earth they're doing and how they're doing it. Simply, let's see. Assemblyman Chris, here's a note from Elena, or Alan, pardon me, Alan. Assemblyman Chris Rogers has proposed AB 2494 to require that the sale of timber and other forest products will be allowed only when the harvest occurs for ecological restoration or research purposes. I wonder how much forest is covered by that bill. I don't know. If we get her back, we'll ask. I will try giving her a call. Maybe. What happened? Oh my God. Sure. Just go ahead and start again. How's that? Okay. Bye. She's going to try to restart and get back in. Her computer crashed. Something wrong with the network, right? So hopefully we'll get her back. She said everybody can take a 5-minute break if they want. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on in the world?
I had a logging question. I
What,
was surprised at the size of Green Diamond and around 2 million acres. Isn't that the acreage of the original old growth redwoods in California? Just for comparison?
I think it is very close to that, yes.
Yeah, that's
But I
huge.
don't think they've been just working in redwoods. I mean,
Right, right. She showed a
redwood.
map including the Southeast and Washington State and other places, but the
Mhm.
total acreage seems equivalent or in the ballpark of California's original forest.
Elliot, do you know anything about that?
That's me talking.
Oh,
Sorry.
obviously you have a question. And what will Green Diamond do with their Brainerd property? Where's the Brainerd property? Does anybody know that? I guess they must have just acquired the Brainerd property. I know they buy and sell. I mean, they buy new places and then they sell when they've got their timber harvest. Sometimes they sell it to a project they're trying to get going. Let's see, it's between Eureka and Arcata, according to Richard. Huh. Where on the, obviously not on the west side. Somewhere on the east side. Is it near Indianola? Richard, you're muted. We don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, where it is, I used to work for Arcata Redwood Company before they were acquired by Simpson. And that's the property behind the eucalyptus trees on the bay side. They used to have a big air drying yard, and
Oh
you
yeah.
can see all
Uh-huh.
the lumber drying there, and you can still see the buildings that are there, the crane shed, the various things at the office that was there. And I'm just curious what they're doing with that since I don't think Green Diamond, they don't have sawmill operations anymore
Yeah,
in
I don't know. That's a
California.
good question to ask.
Okay.
Why don't you stick it up there? So it
Okay.
doesn't get lost. I've wondered what was going on with that property. I mean, the trail goes all the way around it. So obviously it's intending to be maintained as a business of some sort. Do you know
Yeah,
who
I was just
owns it?
wondering, yeah, whether they're going to sell it or maybe they'll donate it. I don't know.
Let's build a windmill farm on it.
Well,
That's a
that'd be
joke.
interesting.
That's a
Well,
joke since it tends to be a problematic topic with the current federal government.
and the size of those the windmills are, I know the
Yeah.
ones that were proposed off Humboldt coast, they're going to be huge. I don't think I'd want one right there.
Do you know anything about the status of that? Are we still going to
Yeah.
build the
I think
construction?
I think that's tied up in
I think we're still planning
lawsuits.
to build that terminal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. That's my understanding.
good.
The Eureka is planning to go ahead with that, or the county, whoever has it.
Hasn't climate change been proven to be a hoax?
Oh, I'd heard something about that. That's why we're having heat domes
Yeah,
and good things of that nature, you
sea level
know.
rise. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I heard it's a hoax too. But then the source is not necessarily credible, is it? Hi, Leslie. Yeah, I agree.
That source changes his mind a lot.
I know. I think it's a tactic to keep everybody off balance. I guess we probably shouldn't talk politics on
Yeah. Well,
at
it's working.
everybody's expense. Pardon me?
It's working off
Oh,
balance.
yeah.
How about the entire world?
Yeah, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
He doesn't either. That's the problem. You stick your toe in, you end up submerged. I hope they work it out one of these days. That'd be helpful. I don't see her returning. I wonder if I should take her up a computer. She's just right up the street.
Oh, how convenient. Huh.
Yeah, well, she was saying it's actually one, two, three, four houses up the street from me.
Huh.
I capture people on the street sometimes and say, wouldn't you like to do? We have interesting people on our street, and
Hmm.
sometimes I capture them to give a talk. And we had her scheduled for last fall, and she ended up having a conflict. So I ended up giving a talk on 4 days' notice on the state of our union.
Well, fate seems to be intervening whenever she wants to talk.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, she said she was really tired. She probably doesn't know what the heck to do when her computer isn't working. Hmm. Well, if this goes under, we can always add an extra brown bag lunch in the summer. And she'll have a third try. She's really sharp. Um, she's really worked with this for a very, very long time. And she's got 2 teenage sons, and she ends up out of town at all these meetings all over the place. And she's out of town. That's why she says she's exhausted, because she ends up flying in and out of Southern California and San Francisco and all over the place. So I'll call her again and see what she has in mind. Thank you all for your patience. You're welcome to have conversations while I'm doing this. You can all talk to each other. Feel free. All
Well,
right.
one thing I want to know, I listened to Marie Antoine speak not long ago at CR, and she said there's a program that they're trying to talk about called PET, PET, for potential elderly trees. And I think she indicated that private companies are being encouraged to set aside coastal redwood trees that have the potential to be accelerated
You're
as
having
old
any
growth.
luck? Okay, we'll reschedule for probably the summer session. Will that be okay? Well, the other option is to go for next week. Are you going to be around next week on Monday? Yeah. Well, it is embarrassing. I understand, and I know you're sorry. And I'll tell everybody to come back on May 4th. How's that? Maybe you'll have to. Maybe you'll have to.